Good morning, everyone. I'm Ito from Group 10. My group has 6 members, and now we are going to introduce to you about the hot topic in Vietnam, climate change. First, let's move on the introduction, which gives you the general knowledge about this topic. Vietnam is one of the countries more vulnerable to climate change impacts, especially from extreme weather events such as storm and flood. It ranked the fifth in climate risk in the Global Climate Risk Index for 2018, the eighth in the Long-Term Climate Risk Index. A list of 10 countries more affected by weather from 1997 to 2016. Manifestations of climate change in Vietnam include extreme weather events with difficult to forecast, record rain, record hot, or the peak of the flood record. Reducing environment deterioration and enhancing climate risk resilience can both benefit for sustainability. Planning for adaptation to increase resilience should support the sustainability, increase the ability of infrastructure withstand additional damage.
Vietnam is one of the countries most heavily affected by climate change. Recently, at the international conference, also emphasized climate change could cause damage up to 3.5% in 2050. In Vietnam, we have a temperature of 26 to 29, but if emissions are not cut quickly, virtually all of Vietnam will reach dangerous temperature 30 to 33. Regarding future climate projection, at the end of the century, temperature is projected to increase from 1.3 degrees C under the scenario of low greenhouse gas global emissions and to 4.2 degrees C under the high emission scenario with faster increase in the north than in the south. Annual rainfall is projected to increase the most region as well. Climate model results have been due to a slightly change in Vietnam climate over the period to 2100 and estimate are present here for likely range of temperature and rainfall trends for the area surrounding Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. Annual temperature in the area of Hanoi may rise by just over 1 degree C in 2050 and by slow to 2.5 degrees C in 2100. This is the most 10 times the warming rate is period over the past 80 years. If the projections are correct, temperature may rise by over 4 degrees C by the end of the 21 centuries, although the forecast tend toward an increase in rainfall amounts in the Hanoi area. The range of the possibilities span delay up slow to 50% below the recent days. Average rose to a rate of over 30% in 2100. The most likely estimate is a minor increase in rainfall up to 2% so in 2050 and 5% in 2100.
Analysis of future conditions is in a rear of Ho Chi Minh City indicate that the change in temperatures and rainfall in the south may not be as great. The most likely projections is the rise in temperature of around 2 degrees C and a very slight increase in rainfall by the end of the 21st century. It is possible that the change in climate may be more severe, with a rise in temperature of 3.6 degrees C and a 500 decline in rainfalls amount by the year 2100. Available moisture throughout the countries and particularly in the south is likely be reduced due to increased evaporation as temperature rise. This could well lead to a marked increase in the frequency of growth and may prove the major impact of climate change. Tropical clients number may also be affected by the regional change in climate, with an increase in frequency and perhaps trends expect to occur. These trends are forecast to intensify over time by 2050 and express rise in average temperatures by 1 or 2 degrees Celsius will likely result in higher incidences of drought with greater intensity and increased rainfall leading to 1 meters rise in sea level along coastal regions. This will have light changing in part on lowland regions with no adaptation measure, with nearly half the Mekong Delta regions critical for food security and the nation economy, particularly as REIT. Further work is needed to revise a more detailed projection of Vietnam climate in years to come. The research of climate modeling experiments must be supplemented by understanding of regional conditions based on the appearance of Vietnamese experts.
So, okay, you see, the next part is the impact on the natural environment. First of all, is the sea level rise. Global climate change will drive rising temperature and precipitation change in the delta and other parts of Vietnam, making it a threat that is sea level rise. The average altitude of the delta is only about 80 centimeters above the present sea level. Projections of future sea level rise for the end of the century range between 20 centimeter to 84 centimeter, depending on the climate scenario, which means that large parts of delta could fall below sea level by the end of the century or even earlier. Should worst-case scenarios of polar ice sheet destabilization become reality. Secondly, impact on the forest and biodiversity. The impact of protected warming could have major impacts on land forests and biodiversity. The relationships are complex, but many domains and natural systems are adversely affected by a lack of adaptability along with other developmental constants. For example, the degradation of mangrove systems due to wildfires is likely to increase more frequently, and ecosystems may move inland due to the scarcity of undeveloped land. Sea level combined with other impacts of climate change and development will increase salinity, intrusion, and degradation of freshwater sources, reducing viability of agricultural land. Miss will coming up next with the impact on the people. Thank you.
In addition, the climate change also impacts on people. In the economic aspect, climate change affects agriculture and change water patterns, directly affecting the harvest season. For a specific example, climate change leads to sea level rise, which will cause the inundation. In Mekong River Delta, it is estimated that about 590,000 hectares of rice area could be lost due to the inundation and saline extraction, which accounts for about 13% of today's rice production in the region. This caused food insecurity not for Vietnam but also for the international community because, as you know, Vietnam is one of the top 5 rice exporting countries in the world. In particular, the Mekong Delta provides more than half of Vietnam's rice production. Next, in the health aspect, climate change can have direct and immediate health impacts, such as drownings, injuries, and heat-related illness, or indirect and delayed, such as waterborne infections, vector-borne disease, airborne disease, mental health consequences, and food shortage. WHO projected the potential risk of climate change for priority climate-sensitive health risks in 2030 and 2050 under different climate and development scenarios. Under a base case socio-economic scenario, climate change was estimated to cause approximately 250,000 additional deaths per year worldwide from heat stress, diarrhea, malaria, and undernutrition in 2030, and to put 4.26 billion people at risk of danger in 2030. 4.64 billion people at risk in 2015 and an additional 48,000 deaths in 2030 and 33,000 deaths in 2050 among children below 15 years due to diarrheal disease. Climate change will be a significant challenge for the capacity of Vietnamese health system in the coming decades.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining me for this presentation today. Topic is how to slow down climate change. Let's take a little quick about the negative effect on environment of plastic on outside in composting. Okay, half of plastic ever manufactured have been made in the last 15 years. 2.5 million tons in 1950 and 448 million tons in 2015, expected to double by 2050. Every year, 8 million tons of plastic waste escapes into the ocean from coastal nations. Livestock farming contributes at least 16.5% of greenhouse gas pollution. And the first recommending for you to slow down climate change is that avoid the plastic. So the plastic needs for 100 years to decompose, so it's really harmful to our environment. And to avoid using plastic, you can reduce your consumption of plastic bag, straw, plastic waste bottle, and you can carry a metal water bottle to avoid purchasing plastic bottle. And you can use reusable bag, such as tote bag, and avoiding plastic benefits is that you can reduce the amount of waste that need to be recycled or in developing countries. And you can save money since reusable items go out cheaper than constantly purchasing more plastic, and you can slow down the climate change. And the second one is that you can change the light bulbs, and instead of using the old light, you can use the LED light. Why? You can save the money, you can reduce the light use. For the reason that the LED light is longer lasting than and brighter lighting, so you don't need to use more light. And this is a non-toxic element, the old light containing toxic mercury. And the third one is that composting. There is two kinds of composting. Is that nitro-rich material which green, such as food, vegetable scrap, trash clipping, and dog trim, coffee ground, and paper filter, and also the paper tea bags and brush eggshell. And the second one is that carbon-rich materials such as dry leaves, plant stock, twigs, shred paper, and untreated wood chips. And the final one, I think, is that you can use the public transportation. Is that the bus, subway, and it benefits is that the bus and subway are less pollution and clearer sky, and can make a healthier community, and harmful chemical are reduced, and fewer cars equal to fewer roads.
Hi everyone, today I'm gonna talk about the ways to slow down climate change. Is limit the use of heater and air conditioner. Use soundproof and insulated door to create private space in your home and save more than 25% on heating and cooling expenses. You can save roughly 2 tons of CO2 per year by just raising the high temperature by 2 degrees in the winter and lowering it by 2 degrees in the summer. Another way is eat smart, increase vegetable and fruit. The amount of toxic substances released into the environment will be reduced by growing green vegetable in a healthy manner without using chemical fertilizer or pesticide. Additionally, if you consume more green vegetable and less meat, you will reduce the amount of livestock activity, which have a significant impact on the phenomenon of greenhouse effect intensifying.
Hello everyone, my name is Kim Thanh. I will continue with the conclusion. Vietnam presents additional difficulty in implementing climate change in addition to financial, technological, and human resources constraints. There is little understanding of climate change and disagreement over its hazards and appropriate responses. People should raise awareness about protecting the environment and natural resources, contributing to mitigating climate change as well as protecting people from the adverse effects of the environment. Thank you for listening. If you have any question, you can raise your hand and give my group a question. Thank you.